I am not thumb-sucking that. This is no imagination. This is what is contained in the indictment that this accused person were called upon to come and plead to.
Athi-ke manje-ke akasakutshela ukuthi ithimba labashushisi noma ihhovisi labashushisi abakhulu lakutshela ini noma bakaze bakutshele ini-ke lapho-ke kepha athi yena bona-ke abakaze bathi lokushona kukamufi kade kuyinto behlezi phansi ehleliwe noma kukuzwana phakathi kwethimba labantu ababili futhi ubheka phezulu-ke lapho-ke kepha athi-ke bona athi yena-ke lapho mayelana nodaba olubhaliwe ngaphansi kwenkulumo noma ngaphansi kwencwadi bathi indictment lokho ngesingisi la bathosa khona-ke abasolwa amacala noma yebo la bathosa khona-ke abasolwa amacala-ke kusinqumo sabo lesi abafika kusona malana nodaba olubhaliwe ngaphansi kohlelo lwe-indictment.
I disagree, my lord. Perhaps the right connotation should be not completely aligned, but to say it's not aligned, I disagree. Because in the memorandum, accused 1 up to 5 was presented, and the DPP arraigned them. And that's a different situation when it comes to Kelly Kumal, and that is why I said that's not my terrain. But to say it's not aligned, it will simply mean even accused 1 up to 5, I made no presentation to the DPP. So that's not correct, my lord.
Athi aklona-ke iqiniso lelo kepha ngekhe asho ukuthi akuhambisane-ke lokho malana nenkulumo kammeli wenu la ikhulumile athi lapho-ke isinqumo esaqhamuka phakathi kwehhovisi labashushisi abakhulu-ke ekuthizeni-ke bathwese abasolwa-ke amacala umsolo wokuqala umsolo wesibili wesithathu nesine wesihlanu-ke kungemuva kokuthi kade befundile ngaphakathi kwedocumente futhi idokhethi futhi memorandum ngoba khona lapho kade bebhaliwe futhi befakiwe kepha isimo sabo-ke siyehluka-ke nesimo sakaKhili Khumalo.
Yeah, for my edification, do you, Brigadier, do you write out section 105 notes concerning what the state is going to prepare or propose in this matter?
No, I don't, my lord.
Because in terms of section 105, the prosecutor has to align the allegations against the persons who have been indicted, and he will present factual analysis that the evidence of the state is going to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And in terms of the law, here's the thing. In terms of the law, he's got to do it because we are appearing in the High Court.
Manje-ke inkosi enkantolo kade ibuza-ke kufakazi ukuthi ngabe-ke lapho-ke uma ngabe wabhala yini-ke ama-notes-ke lapho eqhamuka ngaphansi komthetho-ke ka-section 105 lapho-ke la kuvame ukuthi khona-ke esikhathini esiningi uma ngabe ihlangothi lezoshushiso-ke uma ngabe sebezokuhlala la icala ngaphambi kwenkantolo-ke kulaba vame ukubhala khona ukuthi nawo amacala ahambisanayo futhi amacala esithwesa-ke abasolwa-ke lapho-ke ngemuva kwalokho sebathi-ke nabufakazi esinabo-ke ngalana-ke futhi nabofakazi nabo abofakazi sobaletha nofakazi esinabo malana nabasolwa malana namacala la kusube esikhathini zakhona-ke bebathwesa wona.
Yeah, let me read it so that people know that I'm referring to what. Section 105A, prosecutor may address court and adduce evidence. The prosecutor may at any trial, before any evidence is adduced, address the court for the purpose of explaining the charge and indicating without comment to the court what evidence he intends adducing in support of the charge. 150 subsection 2A. The prosecutor may then examine the witness for the prosecution and adduce such evidence as may be admissible to prove that the accused committed the offense referred to in the charge sheet, or that he committed an offense of which he may be convicted on the charge. 152B. Where any document may be received in evidence before any court upon its mere production, the prosecutor may read out each such document in court unless the accused in his possession of a copy of such document, or dispense with the reading thereof. And this is written by the prosecutor. And I take it, when I say the prosecutor, it's through the office of the DP, Director of Public Prosecutions. Do you take part in such an analysis?
No, I don't, my lord.
Okay. Yes, sir.
My lord, I am not saying that it would never be my submission that this witness, or my argument, that this witness, when the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutor takes a decision, he gets to be party there too. No.
That's
I
okay.
am only putting to this witness, as a method of cross-examination, the gist of what the Director of Public Prosecution's decision is in relation to the trial that we are standing, in relation of the
that's
trial
fine.
that we are busy with.
That's fine. Me, for my edification, I had to understand whether he does that or not. There could be prosecutors who do that, and there could be investigating officers who do that. But I'm telling you what the law says should happen before the case is commenced with. Because the law says the accused himself must be apprised of the allegations which are contained in the indictment against him. And there's a duty on the prosecution to summarize that type of evidence. And I am asking that because it has been put to you, for instance, about that evidence. There was evidence which purports to support a contract killing. Are you with me?
I'm with you, my lord.
Fine. So it's not against anybody. I just want to understand the modus operandi of how the prosecutor, the Director of Public Prosecution, that is, after signing this document called an indictment, what is encapsulated in it. Okay.
Thank you, Madam. Now, Brigadier, probably I need to sum this up. I definitely need to sum this up. Now, in respect of the document, which is called an indictment, that, you know, an indictment, it's a document that is used to bring this, not really bring, it's a document that introduces this accused to the court and the allegations that are against them. In other words, it is a document that gets presented to the court. The court is informed that these accused persons that we're bringing before you are not here for something else other than what we have mentioned in the indictment.
Athi-ke uma qedela ke inkulumo yakhe-ke nje ngokunciphile-ke ummeli usho ukuthi udaba lolu lwencwadi-ke babiza ukuthi indictment ngelimi lesingisi-ke indictment kula khona kubhala khona amagama abasolwa futhi namacala la bawathwesa bona-ke noma amacala ekusube ukuthi bathweswa wona abasolwa-ke lapho-ke bathi inkulumo nje leyo ejulile futhi nje enciphile nje ngokuncane-ke lapho-ke la kubhala mayelana namacala abathwesa bona-ke futhi nesizathu sokuthi kungani bephambi kwenkantolo kusube singaphakathi kwale indictment ukuthizeni amacala ababhekene nawo ngaphambi kwesenkantolo ekuthizeni kwesenkantolo iyazi ukuthi uma ngabe sesiletha abasola phambi kwayo-ke kumele yazi ukuthi labasola yini le noma isizathu sini-ke leso esenze ihlangothi lezoshushiso ekuthizeni balethe abasola ngaphambi kwenkantolo.
I'm listening, my lord.
Thank you.
Athi yebo ngilalele.
Now, in that document, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, having gone through the evidence that you had submitted to them for a decision, they could not find reasons, for whatever reasons that they could have heard, they could not find those reasons to align themselves with the investigation that says that this was a contractual killing.
Yes, my lord. We've already made an objection against this line of cross-examination, and just to not to disturb the flow of proceedings, we're not going to make repeated objections, but I just want to draw my colleagues' attention to section 144, subsection 3, which says the indictment must be accompanied by a summary of substantial fact, but that those summaries are not binding on the state. Evidence is presented to the court on the basis of which a decision is made. The summary of substantial fact is not binding on the state.
Yeah, but read it so that it's on record. You find that there are certain judges who don't know what you're talking about.
The heading is trial before Superior Court, section 144, charged in Superior Court to be laid in an indictment, subsection 1, where an Attorney General, that's now the Director of Public Prosecution, arraigns an accused for sentence or trial by a Superior Court. The charge shall be accompanied in a document called an indictment, as my colleague has pointed out, which shall be framed in the name of the Director of Public Prosecutions. 2, the indictment shall, in addition to the charge against the accused, include the name and, where known and where applicable, the address and description of the accused with regard to sex, nationality, and age. And this is now the section that we are referring to, the subsection 3A, where the Director of Public Prosecutions under section 75, 1213B or 122.2 Roman figure 1 arraigns an accused for a summary trial in a superior court. The indictment shall be accompanied by a summary of the substantial facts of the case that, in the opinion of the Director of Public Prosecutions, are necessary to inform the accused of the allegations against him, and that will not be prejudicial to the administration of justice or the security of the state, as well as the list of the names and addresses of the witnesses the Director of Public Prosecutions intends calling at the summary trial or on behalf of the state, provided that, Roman figure 1, this provision shall not be so construed that the state shall be bound by the contents of the summary. That is the point that we're trying to make.
Okay.
May I respond, madam?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. And my lord, I am not here to blow my own trumpets.
You must blow it.
No, I can't. That's not in my nature.
Is that so?
Yes. It is definitely not in my nature, my lord. But let me bring the following to the attention of the court. All that my colleague has been reading here must be understood contextually. When that section says that the Director of Public Prosecution or a prosecutor is not bound by the information in the summary of substantial fact, this is what is being referred to. Remember the indictment, my lords. Indictment is a substratum. In other words, it's a foundation of what these accused persons are here, or for the reason why accused persons are being brought to court. Now, to give a bit of a brief summary of why the accused are before court, then the legislature came out with that summary of substantial fact. In other words, the legislature saw it necessary to inform the court that, you know what, when you say that this person has stolen, the court must not be seated there and wondering whether this person has stolen cows, or this person has stolen a motor vehicle, or he has stolen ships or whatever. The court must already have a clue that, when the prosecutor says that the person that is appearing before me is charged with theft, I must know that I will have to listen to evidence that is dealing with the theft of the motor vehicle.
Does it follow, sir?
I'm still addressing the court, man.
Oh, I see.
Thank you. That is basically the intention of a summary of substantial fact. But the foundation, where is the foundation? The foundation is in the indictment itself. The indictment that is speaking about theft. That clause that says that a prosecutor is not bound by the summary of substantial fact, it simply refers to how can I put it? It simply refers to simple modalities as to when could the theft have happened, as to how the theft was committed, as to who was again involved in the theft and stuff like that. But you cannot change the substratum, the foundation, and say the indictment says this is theft, and then come and say when you're leading evidence and say no, but this was murder. You can't do that, because then you are changing the substratum. In other words, in an example of a house, my lord, a house has got a foundation, which is the indictment. Then the summary of the substantial fact are the simple modalities of the house. You can play around with where you want to go and fit the window, what should be the color of the house, whether you want the roofing there to be tiled roofing or corrugated iron or thatch roofing. But you definitely cannot change the substratum. That is what an indictment is, my lord. An indictment, it's a foundation, which is why in terms of section 35(1) of the Constitution.
Sorry, I thought we were talking about section 74. You quoted section?
No, that's 144, my lord, yes.
Hello, what section?
Section 1443.
1443.
Yes.
That's what he's quoting. Now you're describing some other.
No, my lord, that is exactly that, which is the reason why
I'll read it for myself, because this is not what 144 says. I'll read it for myself. Okay, you can quote it, whatever you want to quote.
This is the reason why, my lord.
I'll read it for myself. And
Yes.
I think I understand to read English.
Yes, my lord.
Because here it says we are not bound. We are not bound.
But that
It's
is
an absolute prohibition. We are not bound.
that is what I'm
Okay,
trying
fine,
to,
you heard me.
that is what I'm explaining, my lord.
No, fine.
That is what I'm explaining. That we've got the indictment, which is a foundation. We've got the summary of substantial fact that tells the court what the indictment is all about. But if the state in the indictment has included something like time, which is not right, probably it would say on and about the 7th of October 2019, and at about 10 o'clock in the evening, this theft happens. And the evidence says, no, this theft actually happened at about the 10th of October 2019 at around 4 in the afternoon. Those are just simple modalities. You cannot change the substratum. You cannot change that you are dealing with a theft of a motor vehicle. That is exactly what section 114 says when it says the state is not bound. But it does not simply mean that willy-nilly the state can change from saying this is a theft of a motor vehicle and say now this is murder. That is the issue that I am getting to.
We are addressing your colleague. He's got to respond to you.
Yes.
Fine.
Thank you, ma'am.
If you are ready to respond.
Yes. As a court, please, my lord.
I'm not done. I'm not done. Then the court says I'm addressing my colleague if he's ready. And then he can respond. The court does not even verify with me if I'm done or what.
I asked you.
No, but
I did. Didn't I ask?
no, I did not hear the question.
Yeah, you didn't hear the question. Fine. Go on.
And what was my answer, madam? Whether I
Your
was done
answer
or
is
not?
you are not done.
Yes.
Just-
But now I'm getting perplexed that
No, just
all
go
of a
on.
sudden the
Mr.
court
Mr.
instructs
Mnisi.
Mr. Baloyi to
Mr.
stand
Mnisi.
when I'm
Just
done,
proceed.
madam. I'm done.
No, proceed with your case. Proceed with your case.
I'm done, madam.
Oh, now you're done. Fine.
Yes.
He says it's done. Can you respond if you have any response?
Yes, my lord. I think with the greatest of respect, my learned friend is putting the cart before the horse. Facts are presented before the court and evidence is led, and at the end of all the evidence, a decision must then be made based on the facts that have been presented. Now, he wants to bind the witness to a view that he held at the time. That's not evidence. A decision must be made on the evidence that would have been presented before the court at the conclusion of the trial. It's an argument that he can present at the conclusion of the case, not at this point in time. Evidence is still unfolding, my lord. We submit with the greatest of respect that that is not for this witness to answer that, but it will be based on the evidence that is presented before this court.
Okay.
That is so, my lords. That is so. But remember the testimony of this witness. I cannot simply leave it hanging, my lord. Because it is because of this witness that these accused persons are here at court. So for all intents and purposes, I'll have to go through his evidence like a comb and step by step. I'm not so sure if there is anything in law that forbids me to do that. And if there is any, may I please be, my attention be drawn to that thing, my lord, or to that authority. Thank you. I'm not sure, but be that as it may. Brigadier, in terms of this decision, these accused persons have been arraigned for murder. Yes, these accused persons have been arraigned for murder, attempted murder, robbery with aggravating circumstances, and the contravention of the Firearms and Ammunition Act as it relates to possession of the firearm and ammunition. The summary of the substantial fact is very simple. It speaks about what happened at the moment at which those offenses were occasioned. There's no way in the summary of this indictment where a plot to kill or conspiracy to murder is mentioned. If you've got a comment, you can comment. No comment, it's up to you.
Kade akakhuluma ke khona ke njalo ke ummeli omeleke abanomzana phambi kusenkantolo ke umnomzana oqala futhi nomnomzana wesithathu ke athi ke abanomzana noma ke abasolwa ke bagcina beboshwa ngembangela yokuthi noma beboshwe icala lokubulala futhi icala lokuzama ukubulala futhi ukubamba inkunzi nehlobile futhi uthi ngitholakala ngiphethe isibhamu futhi utholakala ngiphethe izinhlamvu manje ke akukho malana nodaba lwesamari le khona ke phambi kusenkantolo ke mayana nodaba lokatulibhalile udaba inkulumo kade iqhamuka kwihhovisi labashushisi la kukhuluma khona ke ngokuthi khona abasolwa noma abanomzana laba kubasolwa ke bahlela lokubulala kwabo noma mhlambe bazwana beyithimba labantu ababili noma abantu abathathu bheka ngaphezulwini usho ukuthi wena ke uma ngabe ufisa ukuthi uphefumule kulo nkulumo leyo ke athi ungane waphendula noma wakhuluma malana nalo daba aqeda ukutshela lona.
As a court, please, my lord, I don't think counsel is correct. If one looks at the indictment, paragraph 12, it says the state will allege that the accused were acting in the furtherance of a common purpose.
A furtherance of a common purpose, my lord, in committing what offense? You don't read these things in isolation. There's no pertinent allegation in the indictment, and basically it's just an argument. There's no pertinent in the indictment that says that these accused persons will be standing trial here at the High Court because they conspired with Kelly Kumalo to kill the deceased in this matter. There's no such an allegation in this indictment.
Kade hlangothi lezo shushiso lokhuluma lithi uma ngabe ubuka ke incwadi indictment la khona kubhalwa amacala abathwesa khona ke abasolwa ke athi lapho kubhaliwe kuthizeni lapho paragraph 12 ukuthi lokho kulandelayo ke ukuthi abasolwa ke benza lokhu ngoba kade beyiqembu futhi bezwene manje uyasho khona ke njalo ummeli ukuthi uma ngabe buka ke indictment lena ke akukho la kubhaliwe khona ke ukuthi lenkulumo elandelayo ekuwukuthi ke abasolwa ke benza lokhu ngoba kade bezwene ke nokheli khumalo ekuthizeni babulala.
That clause that says the accused acted in furtherance of a common purpose, it refers to the charges that are contained in the indictment, which exclude the fact that they conspired with Kelly Kumalo to kill the deceased. And that is the decision of the DPP.
Athi-ke lapho ke isinqumo esathathwa abashushisi abakhulu ehhovisi labashushisi abakhulu ukuthi la kwe-indictment akukho noma la bathwesa khona kamacala akukho la kubhaliwe khona ukuthi abasolwa ke lapho ke benza lokhu ngoba kade bezwene nokheli khumalo ekuthizeni ababulali.
Now, do you have a comment?
Athi manje ke baba ngabonayo yini into ongathanda ukuthi ukhulume ngayo kulolu daba aqeda ukutshela lona ke.
My lord, it's difficult. Like I've said, the document was crafted by the DPP, which is the NPA. I'm not sure how do I talk to that, my lord.
Thank you. Thank you.
Athi lapho ke kunzima ukuthi akhulume noma mhlambe yebo kunzima ukuthi akhulume mina nodaba lolu umele aqede ukumtshela lona ke ngoba athi le document leli ke labhalwa ke abantu basehhovisi le-NPA shutha ehhovisi labeshushisi.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not done. Yeah,
Yes.
and that is the body that is vested with the powers to indict individuals, my lord.
Athi ke ngokukhuluma kanjalo ke ibona ke abantu labo ke abaselungelweni futhi abasemthethweni ekuthizeni bathwese abantu amacala ngendlela bona ababona ngayo.
That's my response, my lord.
Athi yona ke impendulo yakhe ke leyo anayo.
Thank you, Brigadier. I said in saying something to the court that I'm not here to beat my own drums. That's not in my nature. But, excuse me? Oh, okay. But Brigadier, all what I'm doing here, and this is not an indictment on you. You understand?
I understand, my lord.
Thank you.
Athi lokho kwenza ukuthi le indictment ayibhaliwe yena ke ufakazi baba umnumzana Brigadier Gininda athi yebo ngiyakuzwa.
It is not an indictment on the prosecution.
Futhi athi akuyona ke indictment yabashushisi.
I
No, not
understand.
indictment. It means iputa or angisoni yena.
Athi ngeqolisi.
Eh.
Athi akasoli wena ke kepha usola ithimba labashushisi.
No, I'm not saying.
No, my apologies.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, this is neither an indictment on him nor the prosecution.
Athi lapho ke akasoli wena ke futhi akasoli ithimba labashushisi.
Thank you. It is just the facts that are contained in the documents, which documents have been used to bring these accused persons before court.
Kepha kathi ukumelana nalokho kubhaliwe noma uqukethiwe kulombhalo wencwadi noma kule ncwadi ke yona ke eyaphoqa noma eyaletha ke abasolwa ngaphambi kwenkantolo.
Are we together there?
Athi ngabe sihamba ndawonye lapho ke.
We are together, my lord.
Thank
But
you.
so just a follow up. But
Yes.
I think to be in a position as to whether there's an alignment with that suggestion, the NPA, my lord, are in a better position to actually deal with that part. So we are in alignment insofar as me hearing what Advocate Mnisi is saying, but we are not aligned as to whether what is putting to me is what the NPA will come and agree, because I can't speak on their behalf. That's the difficulty I'm having.
Athi yebo thina ke sihamba ndawonye ke malana nalodaba lo kepha mina ke angikho sesimeni sokuthi ngakhulumela ke abantu behhovisi abashushisi ke uma ngaba khona ke umuntu kumele ukuthi eze kazokhuluma noma azokwenza isiqiniseko salokho ke ile thimba lehhovisi labashushisi.
Thank you, Brigadier. This is only my cross-examination to you. I know you're just an innocent person in the context of this cross-examination.
Athi ke ukuthi yena ukubuza ke imibuzo ke kepha ke ukhumule khona ngathi wona ke umuntu omsulwa ke nohlamba umuntu engenacala ke kulokhu lemibuzo akubuza yona ke.
And therefore, Brigadier, this could be my final point on this matter. Therefore, any endeavor that seeks to lead evidence in terms of this document to demonstrate that this was a contractual matter or a hit, would go against what is contained in this indictment. In other words, that evidence would be irrelevant.
Athi-ke lapho kuyakutshela ke mayelana nodaba ke olubhaliwe ngaphansi kwale indictment ukuthi uma ngaba khona ke inkulumo ekhulunywayo ekukuthi lokubulala kade kuwubulawa kade kuhleliwe ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka isigameko lesike athi lokho akwahambisani nale nkulumo ekhona ke ngaphakathi kohlelo le-indictment.
As you could please, Madam, we've already made an objection that murder remains murder. What the motive is irrelevant.
Athi-ke umshushisi lapho besesiqedile ngalo lophuzo lokuthi ukubulala ukuthi izathu zokubulala kade kuyini lapho-ke athi lokho-ke kumele ukuthi kukhulunywe ngaphakathi kwe-indictment.
Thank you. The defense does not dispute that there's no murder in the indictment. It simply admits that, but murder which occasion under what circumstances?
Athi-ke ummeli usuthi ithimba labashushisi aliphiki ukuthi ukubulala lokho kubhaliwe ngaphakathi lana kule indictment namhlanje le document akhuluma ngalo-ke kepha ngaphansi kwezizathu zini-ke lapho-ke.
Thank you. Now, finally, I'm putting it to you, Brigadier, that the evidence that you have led in this court trying to prove or demonstrate that this was a contractual killing or a hired assassination.
Athi kokugcina kuyakutshela ukuthi malana nofakazi bakho-ke babubhekade yagininda obulethile ngaphambi kwenkosi yenkantolo-ke la uzama khona ukuqhamukisa noma uvezele inkosi yenkantolo ukuthi lokubulala lokhu ukubulawa kade kuhleliwe futhi ukubulawa kade abantu bakhona becashiwe lapho-ke
Finds no applicability in what is contained in this indictment, and it is therefore irrelevant.
athi futhi akuhambi lokho okukhulumile kuhambisana nalokho kubhaliwe ngaphakathi kwe-indictment futhi akuvumelekile ukuthi inkosi yenkantolo ikuthathe njengofakazi noma mhlawumbe iyamkele leyo nkulumo leyo.
Thank you.
No, I disagree, my lord.
Athi cha angihambisani nale nkulumo oqeda ukungitshela yona-ke mmeli.
Motive is something else, but the fact of the matter, the offenses of a firearm, spent cartridges being found at the scenes are there, my lord.
Athi lapho-ke izizathu-ke eziphoqile ukuthi kwenzeka lo dlame lokhu-ke futhi nokuthi lokhu abakuthola mayelana nofakazi-ke othize wasetshenziswa isibhamu-ke lapho-ke futhi ade khona-ke alokhuzana amakhoba-ke eyinhlamvu kade akhona lapho.
The person was killed on that specific day, my lord.
Athi futhi khona-ke umuntu owabulawa ngalo lelo langa lelo.
As I said, my lord, the motive is something else.
Athi lapho-ke isizathu esaphoqa-ke labantu ukuthi benze lokho abakwenza isinye isizathu esahlukile.
And my understanding, my lord, is that it is in the interest of justice for me to come and inform this court as to what investigation did I embark on and what is it that I found. So I cannot conceal what I discovered, because that will not be in the interest of justice and that won't be truthful, my lord.
Athi futhi kungobulungiswa-ke bezomthetho okuthizeni yena-ke eze ngaphambi inkosi yenkantolo-ke afike atshele inkosi yenkantolo malana nodaba noma malana nezinto-ke awayithola ngesikhathi kade asesha-ke icala athi loboko kuwukuthi wenza ubulungiswa malana nodaba lwezomthetho noma malana nezomthetho-ke lapho-ke ekuthizeni angakhulumi-ke izinto athi lokho kungahambisani-ke nezomthetho.
That's what I can comment on, my lord.
Athi lokho angathanda ukuthi akhulume ngako.
Thank you, Brigadier. I think that was cut short. Having said that, all the information or the evidence that has been put before this court to demonstrate that this was a hired assassination is relevant, let me then proceed to the other leg. And I'm not saying that when I proceed to the other leg, I am justifying, therefore, that evidence then becomes relevant. It's still irrelevant.
Athi-ke lapho uzobuya khuluma malana nokubulawa komuntu ukuthi kade kuhlelo kade beqashiwe abantu abade babulala lapho-ke nanoma athina lokho akusiyinkulumo eqondile futhi akusiyinkulumo ehambisana nodaba lwezomthetho futhi inkosi enkantolo kumele lokho ingakuthathile emahlombe noma ikushaye ngondiva nanoma ezoqhubeka abuze malana nodaba lokho kepha akusho ukuthi lolo daba kumele ukuthi inkosi enkantolo iyamukele lolo daba lolo.
This is done with a view simply to complete the mosaic, the picture, yes, holistically, in view of the evidence that has been tendered here in court.
Athi lokho-ke ukudweba nje isithombe mayana nofakazi bonke-ke oselebulethiwe ngaphambi kwenkosi enkantolo.
Thank you. Now, on the 30th, by the way, what is the date on which accused number 1 was arrested?
Konje umsoqala bambopha ngaliphi ilanga?
30 May 2020, my lord.
Athi ngelanga lange-30 zakaMeyi ngomnyaka ka-2020.
Thank you. Now, this court has heard the circumstances under which he was arrested.
Athi-ke inkantolo sele izwile izathu lezi waboshwa ngaphansi kwazo.
There are point of agreement between what he says in terms of the arrest and what the state says in terms of his arrest. In other words, there are points where they agree with each other, like points of commonality.
Athi-ke lapho-ke khona-ke la ehlangothi labashushisi noma ehlangothi lezombuso-ke futhi ehlangothi labameli la bazwana khona-ke mayana namaphuzu athize ekuboshweni kwakhe noma ngemuva kokuboshwa kwakhe.
I follow, my lord.
Thank you.
Athi yebo ngilalele.
He gets arrested at Tembisa by a team of investigating officers that include Sergeant Mokgoatlheng, who was primarily accompanied by some Metro Cop, primarily, I don't know what is the rank of the Metro Police, but that's Buthelezi.
Athi lapho-ke eboshweni kwakhe waboshwa-ke lapho-ke uSergeant Mokgoatlheng futhi nephoyisa lakamasipala-ke lapho iphoyisa babiza ukuthi i-Metropolis ngesingisi-ke lapho-ke athi akazi kahle isikhundla kusona-ke lo muntu loyo-ke kepha-ke isibongo sakhe uButhelezi.
I'm listening, my lord.
Thank you.
Athi yebo ngilalele.
Now, subsequent to his arrest at some stage, he got taken to the place where he was staying with his uncle. There were searches there. After that, he got taken to, that's now according to the police, to a hostel where they needed to go investigate for firearm. But ultimately, they end up at Fort Lawrence police station.
Athi-ke ngemuva kokuthi-ke aboshwe-ke lapho-ke wathathwa wasiwa kwindawo ethizeni la kade kahlala khona-ke nomalume wakhe-ke ngesikhathi kade befika lapho-ke bese amaphoyisa-ke athi ukusesha khona kancane lapho-ke bese ngemuva kwalokho bagcina sebase-Fort Lawrence kwindawo ade besesha khona-ke besesha malana nodaba lwesibhamu-ke athi bese ngemuva kwalokho bagcina bese esikhumulweni samaphoyisa sase-Fort Lawrence.
Yes, my lord, I'm following.
Athi yebo kusale emuva.
Thank you. Now, in the meantime, the state indicated that there was a communication that happened between accused number 1 and Sergeant Mokgoatlheng, which led Sergeant Mokgoatlheng to call you, and you gave directions that you should meet each other at Fort Lawrence police station. So,
bathi khona-ke ehlangothi ezombuso lasho ukuthi khona la kade nixhumana khona-ke wena-ke mnumzana njengofakazi futhi noSergeant Mokgoatlheng-ke bese wena-ke watshela uSergeant Mokgoatlheng ukuthi kumele nihlangane esikhumulweni samaphoyisa sase-Fort Lawrence. Ngabe akusinjalo?
It is correct, my lord.
Athi yebo
Thank you.
kuyiqiniso lokho.
now when you received the call from Sergeant Mokgoatlheng, exactly where were you?
Bathi-ke ngesikhathi kade uthola-ke ucingo oluqhamuka kuSergeant Mokgoatlheng ngabe kade kuphi nendawo?
I don't recall, my lord, but definitely not in the North Rand where the accused was. But I can't remember at this stage.
athi esikhathini samanje akasakhumbuli kahle noma yebo akasakhumbuli kahle ngokugcwele ukuthi kade akuphi-ke kepha athi kade angekho ngaphansi kwesigodi esisodwa ke nomsolwa isigodi sase-North Rand.
What?
North Rand, right?
Yes.
Athi kade angekho ngaphansi kwesigodi sase-North Rand.
So when I say no trend, I'm referring to the area where accused one was arrested. That I was definitely not in that area, as much as I cannot recall exactly where I was when I received the call.
Thank you.
Athi nanoma ke athi kade angekho se-North Rand usho ukuthi kade angekho ngaphansi kwendawo eyodwa nala umsolwa kade aboshelwe khona-ke nanoma angekhe abe nesiqiniseko esigcwele sokuthi kabe kade akuphi kahle kahle mayelana nendawo.
Yes, that is one of those aspects that I referred to, that there could be a common cause between accused and the state. That when he got arrested, you were not there. The first time that you met him was at the Fort Flores police station.
Athi yebo kula kade akutshela khona-ke mayelana nalamaphuzu ukuthi ihlangothi lethimba labameli futhi nethimba labashushisi kunalamaphuzu bazwana khona-ke kuwukuthi wena ngesikhathi kade aboshwa-ke kade ungekho lapho-ke kepha ngemuva ukuthi ushayele ucingo-ke kulagcina nihlangana khona-ke.
Thank you.
Understand, my lord.
Athi yebo ngiyakuzwisisa.
Now, at Fort Flores police station, exactly, I do not know the precinct there or the area there. Exactly when you met him in relation to the Fort Flores police station, where were you? The police station that I know, they've got fences around them. You know, it's just not a walk-free area. So that's what I want to find, whether you met him in the streets around police station or you met him in the yard of the police station or what.
Athi-ke lapho isikhumulo samaphoyisa sase-Fort Flores athena-ke akasazi-ke kahle kepha kunezikhumulo zamaphoyisa lezi azaziyo-ke lezi abayibiyele-ke lapho khona-ke ngefensi. Manje umbuzo kuwukuthi ngabe noma ngebondana noma ngebonda, manje umbuzo kuwukuthi ngabe ngesikhathi bohlangana naye umsolwa oqala wahlangana naye kuphi-ke nendawo lapho e-Fort Flores, ngabe nahlangana emgaqweni noma nahlangana ngaphakathi emasangweni alapho-ke noma ngaphakathi kwesakhiwo sase-Fort Flores?
We met at the parking lot of the police station, my lord. So as you come into Fort Flores, just in front of the police station, there's a parking lot for SAPS. Then on the right-hand side, that is if you're approaching the police station, then it's a court, but the court is further up. So we met at the parking lot of the police station, just where the police station begins.
Athi sahlangana-ke lapho kumisa khona-ke imoto zamaphoyisa ngaphandle kwesakhiwo sebhilide lezesiphoyisa sase-Fort Flores. Athi kula sahlanganela khona-ke lapho-ke athi kepha kuma ukhuphuka nje kancane khona la inkantolo ekhona-ke uma lapho uqhamuka elokuzana kwisikhumulo samaphoyisa uhamba ngomgwaqo.
So would I then be correct, Brigadier, to say that it was within the precinct of Fort Flores police station?
Athi ngabe uzobaqinisile na ukuthi nina nahlanganela-ke lapho endaweni yesikhumulo samaphoyisa sase-Fort Flores?
Yes, you'll be correct, my lord.
Athi yebo uzoqinisile-ke lapho-ke.
Thank you, Brigadier. The information further goes, or not information, the testimony further goes that could have happened around just before that could have happened just before sunset, not so?
Athi-ke mayelana nolwazi olukhona wathi mayelana nofakazi obukhona-ke kuwukuthi lokho kwenzeka ngaphambi ukuthi kushoneke ilanga, ngaba kusinjalo?
No, that's not accurate. I think it would have been between 1900 hours and 1930, because between those periods, my interview with him were done, and that was the time we were moving now to the provincial office. So when I met him, it was dark, my lord.
Oh, okay.
Athi cha akulona-ke iqiniso lelo, athi yena-ke ucathi bahlangana maqeda ushaya ihora lesikhombisa-ke noma ngemuva kwemizuzu ewu-30 maqeda ugamanxa ihora lesikhombisa-ke lapho-ke kepha athi lapho bekasele aqedile ukukhulumisana-ke nomsolwa-ke mayelana nodaba lwabo lenkulumo kade benayo-ke lapho-ke futhi athi ngemuva kwalokho kulawa athi bekumnyama-ke ngesikhathi baqeda ukwenza le nkulumo yabo kade bayenza-ke lapho-ke futhi athi kulawa amthatha khona-ke oswamnikisa kumahhovisi ase-provincial.
No,
Thank
no,
you.
no, I didn't take him. That's when he was taken. He was not taken by me.
My apologies. Athi cha isilungiso lapho ukuthi akusuye owamthatha wamikisa kumahhovisi ase-provincial kepha bamthatha abanye ke bamikisa kumahhovisi ase-provincial.
No, we still at First Lawrence.
Yes, I agree, Advocate Mnisi. What I was just correcting the interpreter because he then said from First Loras, I took accused number 1 to the provincial office.
Oh,
So I was
okay.
correcting him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we come in there. Yeah. Now, it was already dark when you meet him. I take it you then introduce yourself to him in the darkness. Not so?
Athi kade kumnyama ke futhi eyasho khona nje ukuthi uzothatha ngalo ukuthi wena ke wazazisa kena ke futhi ngesikhathi kade uzazisa kena kade kumnyama lapho ke ngaba kusenjalo.
So, my lord, there are lights at that's the police station, like I said. It's just where the police station starts, and the accused was sitting inside the police vehicle, the red Golf, which the lights were turned on. But the sequence of events, I was first introduced to him by the members, and then subsequently, I also introduced myself to him.
Athi lapho ke cha akusenjalo ke ngoba ukhumbule khona njalo ukuthi labahlangana khona kulaqala khona ke isakhiwo sasesiphoyiseni sase-Phosphorus. Athi futhi kade khona ke izibane lapho ke kade zikhanyisile izibane lezo ke athi kade bahlezi ngaphakathi kwemoto iGolf enombala ke obomvu lapho ke futhi naye kade ke inezibane kade zikhanyile kuyona ke lapho ke athi baqala bamazisa ke kumsola bese ngemuva kwalokho naye ke bese wazazisa ke kumsola.
So this introduction by members of yourself to accused number 1, who did it?
Bathi manje ke lokuthi wena ke babubrigadier Gininda bakwazise ke kumsola usaziswa lapho ke ama-member noma yilaba osebenza nabo ke esiphoyiseni ngabe ubani owayenza loyo nkulumo?
It could be Sergeant Mokgoatlheng or Mabena, my lord. I can't recall specifically, but it's because those are the members that were close by in Buthelezi.
Athi kungabe kuthi uSergeant Mokgoatlheng noma uMobhena kepha kathi ibona ke bezesiphoyisa kade beseduze ke lapho ke noButhelezi.
And then you, subsequent to that, introduce yourself to him. How did you introduce yourself to him?
Athi ke ngemuva kwalokho nagcina ke uzazisa ke kena ke manje umuzo ukuthi ngabe wena ke wathi ubani kena uma ngabe kade uzazisa noma wazazisa ngayiphi indlela kena?
By identifying myself, my lord, who I am, showing him my appointment card, and indicating to him that I'm the lead investigating officer on the matter of Senzo Mayo. So the formalities in terms of my name, my rank, being a police officer, and showing him my police appointment card.
Athi ke lapho kwazazisa kena ke ayichaza igama ukuthi ke ubani futhi nesikhundla asebenza ngaphansi kwaso esiphoyiseni bese ngemuva kwalokho wamtshengisa ke lapho ke ikhadi lakhe lokusebenza lasesiphoyiseni usho ukuthi appointment card ngesingisi.
Now, Brigadier, when
Futhi
you
wamtshela
receive
ukuthi
this...
yena ke
Oh, I'm sorry.
wabuya wamtshela, my apologies, bese wabuya wamtshela ukuthi yena ke futhi ohola ithimba labaseshi becala.
Now, Brigadier, is it so that when you received this information from Sergeant Mokgoatlheng, this matter has been punted or touted as one of, by the way, what did they call those serious crimes? As one of a great case, man, in the country. A high-profile case, yes. You already know that you are in the thick and thin of things of a high-profile case, not so?
Bathi ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka lokho ke usho ukuthi wena ngabe kade unalo yini ulwazi makade wazini ukuthi usebenza ngecala elikhulu futhi icala eliphakeme kumacala amaningi alana eNingizimu Afrika noma kumacala la usasike wasebenza kona?
I do know, my lord, that the coverage insofar as the death of the deceased was widely covered by the media. What I knew about the case, that it was a case that was difficult to solve when we brought in. So the difficulty was on solving the case. So my focus was the difficulty and the dilemma in solving the case rather than the high profileness. But I am aware that there was nationwide publicity in the media about the case.
athi yebo khona ke lokho ke uyazi malana nabo kepha kade bona babhekana icala elinzima ekuthizima bagcine bakhona ukuthi balixazulule lapho ke ngoba icala leli beselivele sesakazwa ke emsakazweni futhi nakubo abomo lokozana ama TV futhi unondaba ade bekhuluma ke ngalo icala leli ngemuva ukuthi kushoneke lapho ke umufi.
And furthermore, that this case, or the perpetrators, or the suspects in the killing of this deceased have remained a mystery from 2014 up until then, when you met, when you had to meet accused number 1 at First Lawrence. Almost 6 years, it just remained a mystery. The perpetrators just remained a mystery, not so?
Athi asukuthi kade ke abasolwa noma abantu abadala ke lobugebengu noma abantu abadala ke lodlame lokuthizeni noma mhlambi lesigameko sokubulala ke umsola kade bengatholakala futhi kade bengaziwa ke isikhathi seminyaka ke ezithupha akusinjalo.
I suppose, my lord, if the question relates to the DPP issuing an indictment on the accused, yes, this was the first time. But prior to that, a number of people, even before my time, were looked at, others arrested and released. So it's not that the case was simply silent. Leads were followed, and then, you know, and people were excluded in terms of being suspect. Other arrests happened and then people were released. But insofar as, yes, I can agree that up to 2020, when the matter was presented to the North Gauteng DPP, that was the first time when an indictment from the DPP was then issued to arraign the accused before court.
Athi yebo ke khona ke kunjalo kepha ke kuzifinca isikhathi lesi wathola ke khona ke incwadi eqhamuka ke kubashukuvisi abashushisa abakhulu lana ke Pretoria ke DPP office lapho ke kade wakhipha ke indictment athi kula khona ke gcina koshwa abasolwa kepha athi khumbula khona njalo ukuthi ngaphambi kwalokho kade khona ke abantu ade beboshwa ke lapho futhi ade bephenya lapho ke kunabantu asele baboshwa bese futhi babadedela ngoba ade bebona ukuthi akusibo lababenze lesigameko.
Thank you, Brigadier. No, Brigadier. You're reading my mind very wrongly, if that is what you just did in respect of the answer that you gave here. I'm simply saying to you, would you agree with me that from the day on which this incident happened to the day on which you had to meet accused number 1 at First Lawrence Station, police station, the perpetrators in this case remained a mystery? In other words, there's no person who had been arrested and successfully prosecuted, not so. I'm not talking about indictments or DPP or what. There, First Lawrence police station.
Athi cha bangabe ufuna umcabango wakhe ngendlela lo ufuna ngendlela engaqondile ke yena athi ukulolidaba lalapha ke ngaphansi kwesikhumulo samaphoyisa sase First Lawrence athi kade sele kuyisikhathi seminyaka ke ezithupha ngemuva ukuthi kwenzeke isigameko lesi kuzifinca isikhathi lesi owahlanganela khona naso nomsola oqala ngesikhathi kade nihlanganela ngaphansi kwesikhumulo samaphoyisa salapha ke First Lawrence athi akusinjalo.
No, that's not 100% correct, my lord. Perhaps successful prosecution, yes, the answer is correct. But to say no one was arrested, that is incorrect, because few days after the deceased was killed, Mr. Mbata was arrested and he was charged and he appeared in Boksburg. I think it was back then in 2014. So that was the first person that was arrested, and subsequently, I think due to the investigation, then the charges were withdrawn.
Athi yebo thize ngahlangana naye khona ke kunjalo kepha ke ukhumbule khona ukuthi bakhona ke abanye abantu ababoshwa ke lapho ke futhi wazokwenza ke isibonelo sokuthi umnumzana ke umbatha ke nakhe waboshwa ngemuva kwelanga leli lesigameko bese ngemuva kokuthi aboshwe bese waqhamuka ngaphambi kwenkantolo yaseBoksburg kepha ugcina bemdedela ke lapho ke ngembangela yophenya kwecala makusesha kwecala.
I'm sorry. Are you done, Brigadier?
Yes, I'm done, my lord.
Does the fact that Mbata was arrested and charges against him withdrawn not take the case back to where he started in 2014, that there was no suspect?
Athi ke ngemuva uthi ke umnumzana ke umbatha waboshwa bese ngemuva ukuthi ke aboshwe inkantolo yamdedela noma amaphoyisa amdedele lokho akubuyiseli icala ahlehliseli icala emuva kuze kufinceke ngomnyaka ka-2014 ngelanga kade kusenzeka ngaso isigameko.
No, it does, my lord, but my question, because I was answering the question, that there were no arrest and successful conviction. That's why I said conviction, we're on the same page. Arrest, I disagree, because I'm answering it on that context, based on the question that has been given to me, that there was an arrest, and that is the one of Mr. Mbatha.
Athi cha ithizeni ke akekho umuntu waboshwa bese washushiswa bese watholakala enecala athi cha lokho ke uyakuphika kepha ukhumbule njalo ukuthi ukhona ke umuntu uthizeni owaboshwa ke lapho ke umnumzana uMbatha bese ngemuva ukuthi aboshwe khona njalo bese bamdedela ke engekagwetshwa.
Thank you, Brigadier. Now, when you met accused number 1 at police station, at First Lawrence police station, introduce yourself to him. Now, you already were aware of what you spoke about in the course of this cross-examination that you referred to as good practice, which include fairness and objectivity, not so?
Bathi ngesikhathi buhlangana nomsola futhi uzazisa ke na ke ngesikhathi buwazi manje nodaba le good practice la nesebenza khona ke ngendlela eqondile futhi ngendlela ekhethekile akusinjalo.
I was aware, my lord. I just don't remember if I've put it in that context, because I understand the good practice. I've put it in the context when the late Mr. Mngomezulu asked me about the confession, and I said, and that's where the good practice started back then, that it is a good practice or a suggestion that you should follow this practice to get someone independent from the investigation to take the confession. So that's where things flow with this term of good practice. So I was aware, when I met the accuser, I was aware that one has to act within the perimeters of the law, and obviously then you embark on good practice as and when the need arises. But I didn't go there with that mind, my lord, because all I was told is that this person seems to be making some admission about this matter. So I wanted to interview this person or talk to this person myself, and then I would have then made up my mind as to the way forward. But I had no idea what he would say to me, my lord, before I got there.
Athi ke cha akusinjalo ngoba leligama leli abalibiza ukuthi good practice noma indlela eqondile noma indlela elungile okusebenza ke lapho ke athi igama eqhamuka la ngesikhathi beka phambi kwenkosi yenkantolo ke ebuzwa ke imibuzo kathi umnomzana kuMngomezulu athi igama lelo kulala qhamuka khona ke le ukuthi good practice athi ligama lelo lisebenzisa ngembangela namhlanje ngesizathu sokuthi ke lapho ke yena ke wathi ngeke abe selungelo kade ngekho selungelweni lokuthatha the confession kamsoke kepha kwakwamele ukuthi athole umuntu oyimele usebenzelayo ekuthizini kube uyena ozobuya umuntu lo athathe confession eqhamuka kumsolo ngoba bekazwile ukuthi umsolo kunodaba angathanda ukuthi alimike kubona kubo noma abatshele.
Thank you, Brigadier. When I think I started off this cross-examination, I think it was on Monday, I requested you to define what do you mean by good practice, and then you said it involved the principle of fairness and objectivity. Do you still remember that?
Athi yebo uyabonga kepha khumbula khona njalo ngomsombuluko ngesikhathi beqala kubuza ke imibuzo ngesikhathi athi becela ukuthi umchazele kabanzi ngokugcwele mana negama leli lithi good practice kula wona ukukhuluma khona ke ukuthi ukhuluma ngamagama esingisi objectives and fairness ukuthi amagama alungile futhi nendlela yokusebenza ekhethekile noma elungile.
That is correct, my lord. But when you deal with an accused person, what is supreme above that the constitutional right of the person that is before you in terms of Section 35. So that supersedes the good practice, and that is why I focus on that. The rest, because the good practice kicked in as a result of what accused one was telling me, and now in documenting what he was telling me, good practice then kicked in. But prior to that, the primary focus is to ensure that the accused or the suspect that is before you is fully aware of his constitutional right in terms of Section 35. Thereafter, you then find out from the said person what he elects to do. So it flows like that. And when the answer says we can talk without an attorney, the results of that discussion then will guide you as to what you need to do. And obviously, if the confession must kick in, the good practice method then comes in. but that is much later. The primary focus are the constitutional rights of the person that is before you that you intend to question, my lord. Sorry, my apologies.
Athi-ke ufakazi lapho-ke igama leli ewabiza ukuthi good practice laqhamuka ngoba kade yena-ke efisa ukwazi ukuthi umsulwa ngabe ufisa ukukhuluma ini noma mhlawumbe ungathanda ukuthi ambikile ini lakuyena noma amtshele ini-ke athi lokho aqhamuka emuva ukuthi yena-ke ekhuluma ngodaba lwezomthetho olwela ngaphansi kwa-section 35 noma umthetho wozokusebenza ka-section 35 la atshela khona-ke umsolwa mayelana nodaba noma mayelana namalungelo akhe anawo-ke ngaphansi kwezomthetho wala eNingizimu Afrika-ke lapho-ke la bekathi mhlawumbe umsolwa noma mhlawumbe isiboshwa ngomsolwa singakhona ukuthi sikhulume naye ngaphandle kommeli ukuthi ummeli abe khona-ke noma sikhulume naye ummeli-ke akhona-ke lapho-ke athi igama lokulala qhamuka khona-ke lapho-ke bese ngaphambi ukuthi benze lokho-ke kulaqala amtshele mayelana nodaba lwakhe amazise khona-ke mayelana namalungelo akhe ezomthetho maqeda kwenza lolu daba lolo-ke bese uma ngabe umsolwa ukhetha ukuthi akhulume ummeli akhona-ke uyomtshela-ke noma uma ngabe afisa ukuthi akhulume kummeli angekho ubuye amtshele-ke lapho-ke bese baqhubeka basebenza-ke.
My lord, I'm tired. I can't even hear myself speak. I think I'm doing a great disservice to Mr. Sibiya if I were to continue in the situation in which I am. I'm going to request for an early adjournment.
Athi manje ummeli uyacela-ke ngoba athi yena-ke ukhathele futhi akasazizwa-ke makakhuluma athi lokho ngeke kube ubulungiswa-ke ethizeni akhulumele icala lakamnumzana-ke uSibiya-ke lapho ngicela ukuthi inkantolo ukuthize imvumele ahambe ayophumula usambe sonkeni sokhuluma.
Mr. Baloyi, what's your time?
Hayi
It's 3:12, my lord.
Any objection to tiredness?
It is very close to the normal sitting time, my lord. So there's no objection.
bese athi-ke umshushisi naye akakuvimbi lokho ukuthi akamaleli ukuthi ummeli wena athole isikhathi sokuthi-ke ahambe ayophumula ngoba sekashiye ukuthi ukhathele.
Are you available, Brigadier?
Yes, I am, my lord.
Thank you, my lord.
Okay, tomorrow,
Sekuya kusasa-ke bafowethu yahora leshumi kusasa.